Hey guys, how's it going? Today we're gonna look at the Palm Palm. Yes, that's the name of this phone. People call it the Palm Palm because actually it doesn't have a specific model name. It's just made by Palm, and it's usually called the Palm Companion Device or the Palm Palm or just the Palm Phone. And this is kind of a revival of the Palm brand. We haven't seen the Palm brand since 2011, actually since 2010 when HP bought the Palm brand name and they started releasing the Palm Pre too, and then they branded it HP Pre after that. So we really haven't seen this brand since 2010, and this was released just last year, 2018. It's not the same company though. The original Palm Incorporation that's defunct. It was bought by HP, and now it's not used anymore. Now the name, only the name, is used by a Chinese company called TCL. Some people may be familiar with this company because they also license the BlackBerry name, and that's basically where the BlackBerry mobile brands are now coming from. So the BlackBerry, like Key 1, Key 2, that's actually made by TCL, not by BlackBerry Incorporation. So these days, a lot of the old brands that we know and love, like Motorola and BlackBerry and Palm, they're pretty much owned by Chinese companies now, unfortunately. But that's just how it is. That's how this market evolved, I suppose, for better or worse. And you have this tiny phone now. This is kind of a throwback phone. It's 3.3-inch screen, 1280 by 720. It does have some modern internals inside of it. So 12 megapixel camera, 8 megapixel front camera. That's not anything too special to talk about, but it's definitely better specs than the size would make you believe. It's an IP68 water resistant design as well. So kind of surprising to me. USB-C charging connector, so that's pretty modern as well. It's got 32 gigs of storage. There's no expandable storage here. There's no micro SD card slot, just a SIM card slot right here, and the power button. No volume rockers or anything, and just the USB-C connector on the bottom. No headphone jack, no volume rockers. It's pretty much it. Pretty simple. It's actually got a face unlock feature, which is very surprisingly modern, and 3 gigs of RAM, which is actually quite decent for a phone of this size. And this price point, you can get it for under what, $80 now. So it's a budget phone. It was always meant to be a budget phone, and the processor is a Qualcomm Snapdragon 435. So again, kind of entry level CPU here. But yeah, this is meant to be an entry level device. It actually originally, when it was first released, it was meant to be a companion device, so you couldn't actually use it as a standalone phone. You had to tether it to your regular phone. So this was meant to be like sort of like a smartwatch type of device, where you have it kind of tethered, but it's not meant to be a standalone thing. It's just meant for like a quick glance at notifications and stuff like that. But now they actually revised it so it can be a standalone phone if you want it to be. And yeah, it's a really kind of a throwback device to 2010. That 2009, 2010, it's like 10 years ago. We have phones with just 3.3 inches. Back then when the iPhone was first released, it was 3.5 inches, right? And 3.5 inches seems really small by today's standards. But by those standards back then, when it first came out, more than 10 years ago, it was considered a big display size. So just give you a comparison here. Here's my Samsung Galaxy S8 Active, which is a more modern phone in terms of display specs and everything. And you can just see like this would be considered an absolutely gigantic phone 10 years ago, right? If you brought this phone back in time to 10 years ago, people would be like, what the heck is that? It's like a gigantic tablet, right? A phablet, right? But now this is just a normal size phone. You have the Palm Pre, which is, the Palm phone, which is, this is a throwback kind of device, the small 3.3-inch screen like what phones had back in the day. Just look how tiny it is compared to this phone. Can you imagine? Back before people were watching videos and basically doing everything with their phone, they just used their phones for the basic stuff, just like, texting and calling, and that's pretty much it. We didn't use all these apps and stuff like that like people do nowadays. We just used the phone for texting and calling people back then. Pretty much all it was used for. So it didn't really need to have a gigantic display. Now we have a phone with a gigantic display like this and even bigger displays. This is not even the plus version, but you get what my point here. It's like this is how phones have evolved, right? But it's interesting that TCL decided to revive the Palm name for this, make some sort of a really small throwback device for people who just want to use their phone like they did back then, which is just for notifications, texting, and calling. And pretty much it. You're not going to be using this for media watching. You might want to use this for music listening. That's fine. But I mean, the iPod Touch is still available, believe it or not, and it's still pretty. It's got a still like a 4-inch screen or something like that. But for music listening, you don't need a big screen. But you're not going to use this for games, apps, or watching movies or stuff like that. You know, you're just going to be using this for taking calls, text messages, notifications, and you occasionally maybe you want to listen to music or something like that, right? So this is basically what you get here. It's like a very smartwatch type of interface here. Actually, yeah, it's maybe you could watch it whereas a smartwatch if it was a tiny bit smaller. But yeah, basically you have this basic notifications here. Swipe up, and you have again this interface is a custom version of Android. It is running Android 8.1, which was it's outdated now, but in 2018, that was actually up to date Android, and they're not updating it to Android 9 or Android 10, I guess, since this didn't sell very well. This interface is a custom version of Android. You can see that the interface is similar to what I would say WatchOS on Apple Watch or Wear OS for Android smartwatches. So you see a very watch interface, like a watch, smartwatch like interface right here, right? So it's pretty interesting here. The camera is really nothing special, but you do have a camera here, right? So you could activate the camera here, right? There is the camera, and you do have video capabilities as well. And then of course you have your Google Chrome, Google Photos. I think, oh, you even have access to the full Google Play Store. So you could technically put any app that you want on here. Uh, Although be advised that this is not a good phone for playing games or watching movies, like I said, just because of the processor is not that great. It's lower in specs, and the display size, right, the screen size is you're gonna have to squint your eyes whenever you're doing anything like that on it. And then just pull down from the top. This has a special life mode, which is a little bit different. It says you won't receive calls or text when your palm screen's off. Yeah, so it's basically the gist of this phone is what it's meant to do is effectively replace a smartwatch or be something similar to a smartwatch. All you want to do is just receive notifications, and it's pretty much it. You can do your basic calls and texting, but you won't do anything too heavy with it. That's initially what this phone is designed to do here. So yeah, well, that's how you edit your apps, I guess. Widgets, you can add widgets as well. And yeah, okay. You have your some Google type of swipe gestures here. It's using, again, custom version of Android, but you do have your standard controls here. You can even post on Instagram using this thing. Yes, I mean, it does have a camera. And you do have access to Google Photos and everything else. So you can technically use this as your daily phone. As a SIM card, everything like that, if you want to. I mean, if you really want to go back in time and use a phone with 3.3 inches, and you don't care about all that other stuff of going to app stores and using like really complicated apps, or playing games or watching movies on this thing. You just want to use this for just very very light stuff. Yeah, just say like texting or calling. You can even take pictures and upload them here and there. I think you can probably use Facebook as well. Social media stuff. You don't do anything too heavy, then you can actually technically just use this as your main phone. It's nothing stopping you from using it. This is even another shortcut here where you can see all your apps and stuff here like that. So interesting interface. Anyways, guys, yeah, that is the Palm phone, also known as the Palm Palm, because there's no other model name for it. Yeah, just you can pick up this phone for under $80 online. Very, very simple, small device, and pretty much it. Yep. If you want to have a really light device, you're not doing much work on it, or you just want to have like a kind of replacement secondary phone as a replacement for a smartwatch, then you can pick this one up. The Palm Palm throwback device. Really, there's nothing Palm like about it, except for the name, I suppose, and maybe the display size. So, but anyways, it's a very very interesting device. I think not many people probably know about this phone or that the fact that it exists. It does have kind of modern specs on it, but it is, yeah, very much for a niche set of people. That's it, guys. Thanks for watching.